Mm. Mostly regulated by the state. The state has most of the statutes that regulate the LLC. The the federal government honors them. They are allowed to be done in a pass through. They allow you to pass through the income, but you have a couple of options with them. They can be limited partnerships. They can be partnerships. They can be run as corporations. They also can be single member. As a single member LLC, then that's filed on your regular 1040 with Schedule C form. But if you're a partnership, that's done on a 1065. That's a totally separate filing. And that filing is due on March the 15th of every year. So many people came to me last year. They're like April 15th. Well, you're late filing this 1065. So that, and at that point, you're not filing an extension. You're just incurring a penalty for late filing.
Okay, let me see. There was another question. Excuse me. What key disappeared? I get it. What key performance indicators, KPIs, should small business owners, I guess, watch to regularly ensure financial health?
Well, that's going to be a little different for each, depending on what type of business you're in. So, I do deal with like a wide variety. So, for example, if you're running, say, a logistics company, you're going to have to be monitoring things like the cost of fuel that you're spending for transporting, well, cargo or whatever you're doing with your vehicle, whether that's a semi truck, or some people are using a lot of pickup trucks, or they have other types of vehicles they're using these sprinter trucks. So I have people who have multiple sprinter trucks that they're using. So one of the key things, you want to be monitoring your cash flow, but you need to be monitoring your expenses, and you need to keep some controls over how those expenses are done, and trying to find different ways to save with those type of expenses. So it varies from industry to industry because of the different factors. So that's a pretty broad question, but overall, if I had to just give a general statement, that would be my answer.
Okay. Now, MJ, Michelle, Joyner, you want to open up your mic and ask your question?
Uh, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Thank you for having this. Let me switch to my headset. So, a couple of quick questions. One, I've been doing taxes with VITA, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. The IRS gives different agencies around the country, maybe $100,000 to $200,000 to have these sites where people who make, I think it's under $50,000, can
That's
go
correct.
and have basic income taxes done and filed. And one big thing I've noticed about what low and moderate income taxpayers miss, in addition to the savers credit, is the multiple support agreement. Now, I learned about that at when I worked for H&R Block. I didn't necessarily learn about that through my training for VITA through the IRS. So, can you speak to who does the multiple support agreement apply to? For example, these guys on child support, if they could cooperate with their mom, with the mom, and maybe work out a multiple support agreement, or grandmothers who are splitting costs with the child, and with their child and their child and themselves for the care of their grandchildren. So can you speak to the multiple support agreement, who it can apply to? And because I think a lot of people are missing out on that. And then I'll follow up briefly on my other two questions.
So those agreements are significant with what they call the tiebreaker situation. So let's start with the basis. The basis is that, and let me make sure that I'm understanding where you're coming from. So you have a person who, two people, they may be responsible for a child. Maybe that's a mother and the father, or maybe it's a grandmother and and the baby's father or something. And so you want, with the child credits and things like that, you are asking about the alternation of that being on those respective individuals' return. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 'cause I thought the multiple support agreement works in that one person can take the deduction and the other person can possibly take a credit, like an earned income credit or a child credit.
Well, so what happens with that is there's a form, and I'm getting ready to look it up. It's like, I think it's the 8230, the 8226. But let me make sure. I'm gonna be honest. I don't uh, memorize that particular form. Give me a second. That because that is available where the individual can fill that form out and have a written agreement that, so we have 2025. I'm going to take it this year. Next year, I'm going to take it the following year. It's going to be on alternate years, or they're going to do one or the other. Typically, it gets really kind of hairy when it comes to splitting that stuff in the same year. So it's a lot. I usually recommend people to just alternate from year to year versus trying to split that stuff down the middle, because it kind of gets, there's a couple of factors. So individuals who don't have a tax liability for the year, they're not going to get the child tax credit. There used to be what's called a refundable credit. That credit is no longer refundable anymore. So if you don't have a tax liability on your tax return, then you don't get it. So if you have a situation where that person doesn't get it, then they can go to the additional tax credit, and then they'll get the earned income credit based on having the child on the return also. Now they can qualify for the earned income credit as a single individual, but the number changes if you have an additional individual on there, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, Miss Laci, Miss Williams. I know that you have another meeting, and there are questions in the chat.
I have like another 15 minutes and then I will have to exit.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, I can have a couple more and then we can go out
Sorry,
to my next
sorry to
meeting.
cut you off, Miss Joyner. Did you have another question?
Just real quick, I've been looking into grant opportunities. For example, I went to a meeting earlier last week. The state of Illinois has about $10 million it's made available for people who want to offer apprenticeships of very kind. And so I'm wondering, are you open to doing like on-the-job training where these various agencies will pay you to let someone work and get the job experience? That way you get the labor and free of charge, and then they get the experience.
It's something I definitely would be open to and consider. I would just need to get an understanding of the particulars, because I will be bored. My primary registration for my business is in the state of Montana for tax purposes, and so if it requires me to have a primary registration here, then that probably is not good. But if it does, if they'll allow foreign corporation to operate under this program, then yes, I can definitely consider it.
Okay, all right, good to know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Joyner. Oliver, Olivia Jack, you have a question? Turn your mic on. Olivia Jack, you said you had a question. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. There you go. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Go. You have the floor.
Okay, I want to ask some few questions. How can small businesses differentiate themselves from larger competitors in terms of service, pricing, or innovation?
I'm sorry, can you repeat yourself?
How can small businesses differentiate themselves from larger competitors in terms of service, pricing, or innovation?
Well, that's more. I think if you had to separate yourself from a larger operation, is the key factor I usually tell people is that you have to offer something that maybe the larger corporation doesn't offer. So one of the things that I specialize in dealing with is, for example, I don't know if you were here for the beginning, is that I specialize in helping small businesses at the beginning. Some companies, they want the company after it's learned how to do its bookkeeping and how to establish itself. I'm just kind of I work with the business at its infancy, and then try to get that company to expand into a larger operation over time. And so I think primarily what people are looking for more so out of businesses is more personalized service. Now you're going to find people who that doesn't matter. They're just looking for the cheapest price. And I tell people I may not be that, and I'm upfront with people about that. That I might not be the cheapest operation that you're going to run into, but I'm going to give you that personalized service. I'm going to be there when the IRS sends you a letter and tells you that something's not right with your return. I'm going to be there when the problems are coming around. I'm going to stand by the return that I've done, or the bookkeeping or whatever. I'm going to stand by my product. If you just want cheaper and somebody just throw something together for you just to get what you need, then I tell people to go somewhere else. Now, in that process, I may not be the cheapest, but I am going to work with you. So I'm going to give you some payment plans, or I'm going to work with you to get what you need, but I'm going to make sure I do a good job, and I'm going to make sure you have what you need. So if I had to translate that into answering your question, I think that that is the type of thing that I would be focused on, is because I think that everybody is in this microwave stage, and sometimes the microwave isn't good. You have to use a conventional oven to get something done and make sure it's done right.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I jump in
You're
real
welcome.
quick? Real quick.
Yes.
I did customer support for QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Payroll, and a big problem I noticed is that financial service professionals, accountants, lawyers do not train business owners in how to use QuickBooks. And I think that's a good service in terms of myself personally. I'm going to look at, does the accountant take the time to show you how to get what he's going to need from you at the end of the year from QuickBooks? Is he going to show you how to do the receipts? So that, for me, that's a differentiator right there. If the accountant or the business consultant will take time, a 2 or 3 hour consult, and show the person how to set up their books to get what they need so that they're in order at the end of the year, that's something that really accountants really need to do. Do you do that, Ms. Williams?
I do.
You do?
And I occasionally have workshops for my customers, and I show them how I go through my processes, as well as showing them how to get set up. Particularly with if you're familiar with Intuit, they also and QuickBooks, they have that self-employed. That's like the beginner one, and then I advance them into one of the other products.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Great.
She does that. That's a deal. That's a tiebreaker right there. If she does that, because a lot of accountants and business consultants don't do that, so that's a plus for you, Ms. Williams, in my mind. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, there's another LW here. Did she answer your question? I'm trying to find out their name. I'm looking for their name now. Because you're LW and there's another LW, but I don't see him. I don't see him in the chat right now. How can small business? Well, this is not an accounting question. That person asked, leverage digital marketing, including social media and SEO, to expand their customer base. That's not an accounting question. I think Troy would be here this evening. If he pops in, we'll have Troy answer that question. That's his ball game. Now, am I missing anyone? Who am I missing? Am I missing someone's question? Jump in and ask your question, because she's on her way out the door. She got her hat. She's getting ready to put her hat on and hit the door. She has another meeting tonight. But I'm so grateful, Ms. Williams, that you took the time to join us.
Well, I appreciate. We go way back, so you know I got you.
I'm so happy. Yeah.
So,
and seems to be quite an interest. We'll have to do it again. Seems to be quite an interest. Of course it is. You know how we're interested in it. Everything about the taxes, and we messy with it too. We very. I'm speaking for. We messy with the taxes. But I'm getting myself together now. I've been in this for a long time. And having an accounting background, just as crazy as I can be. That's what the problem is. But Ms. Williams, I want to thank you so much. And I appreciate you taking
well, and I appreciate again. And so my website is in the chat. It's that's P Head and Associates. So if you want to get in touch with me, feel free to give me a call and check out my website. So best regards, and everybody have a great day. And as always, I'll see you at the top.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I think that only one person put a tool in there. We're going to check those out in a little while. But in the meantime, we're going to go to I see that our voiceover artist did arrive. Hello, Xavier. Glad to see you in the house. And we're gonna go to Mr. Jones first. So you just sit back in the cup, okay? I thought you thought it was next, but now we're gonna put you. We're gonna put you next. And Kelvin Young, my co-hosted the commercial drone instructor and urban farmer specialist, should okay, at the minute company should be on in a little while. It's not 7 o'clock yet, but we're gonna talk about a completely different subject now. Good evening, Mr. Jones. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'll see if I can try to talk the tax discussion. That was a deep discussion. I don't think my stuff will go that far, but thanks for having me.
It's just as important. But Mr. Jones is here to talk to us about security and about those concealed weapon license, and I'm sure a couple of other things. So, Mr. Jones, I'm gonna let you have the floor.
Okay. So my name is Patrick. My company is AOA Training Tactical. So I started my company about 9 years ago to provide quality training and make sure people are in compliance with the laws, because a lot of people get caught up when they don't know what they don't know. So that was the whole point of the training, to make sure people are getting quality training for someone that's going to make sure they set up for success. So my background is going on 24 years of working in law enforcement, security background. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice, master certification in critical infrastructure protection. I am a law enforcement supervisor. I work for 3 different police agencies. I'm actually a federal law enforcement officer. I work for 2 South Suburban police departments. Been a field trained officer, supervisor for all 3. So I have some experience in supervising and dealing with issues that people may face when they're dealing with compliance issues. So I actually wanted to share my presentation so I can kind of like go over some of the key topics. So one of the things that I get on a daily basis, being a person that offered the Illinois Concealed Carry classes. So I teach multiple courses, 3 state courses, Illinois Bassett, Illinois Security, as well as Illinois Concealed Carry, also the state of Tennessee security training as well. But I get a lot of questions every day on pretty much the application process because a lot of folks is unable to contact the Illinois State Police or contact the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulations. So let me know if you can see the screen. I'm going to share it. All right, let's see. There we go. Right, can you guys see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
So some of the key topics I just wanted to talk about is if people have questions on actually the concealed carry requirements. A lot of folks don't qualify for the concealed carry license, and people still to this day don't know the process. You know, we are going over 10 years of the Illinois concealed carry law. So we're talking about the application process. If you have questions, ask about the application process. I'll talk about some issues that people are having with the application process. The Illinois State Police has changed the user account registration information to even go in to apply. A lot of folks that is not familiar with how to operate a computer usually run into some of the issues because they continue to get errors because they're not putting in the right information into the fields. And if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to complete the process. So it makes it very hard for folks to even apply for a FOI card, which is the firearm owner identification card, and then the Illinois concealed carry license itself. So we'll talk about those things if you have questions. The next thing is the new 40-hour security officer training course. So anyone that's looking to work as an armed security officer for a private security contractor in the state of Illinois, they must go through the new 48-hour training course that was changed last year. So this is a new requirement, which require 28 hours of armed training, 20 hours of unarmed training. And then we're going to talk about some of the deployment requirements to make sure that you are in compliance for working for actual private security contract agencies. But there's a lot of issues where people are running security contract agencies and they're unlicensed. And they are hiring people to work, and those folks haven't completed a certification course, or they themselves is unlicensed, which they don't have a PERT card. We talk about the Illinois Department, which is ID, FPR, permanent registration card, how to apply. People are still getting caught up with that. So to apply for an Illinois concealed carry license, you do have to complete the mandatory 16-hour class. There is a couple of exemptions that you will or could meet if you was prior law enforcement, prior corrections, or former military, veteran, or active military. So there is exemptions that they do accept credit hours, which is on the Illinois State Police website. Throw the link in the chat shortly. So the application for a FOI card is actually $10. Is cheap. It's good for exactly 10 years. But a lot of people still struggle to even fill out the application because they do not put the correct information that's on a state ID or driver's license. So if you haven't updated your Illinois state ID or driver's license because you recently moved, or you realize that your description has changed but it's not exactly how it is on the state ID, and you try to enter that information, it's not going to accept it. You must enter the information as it is on your Illinois state ID or driver's license for the state to accept that information. For the Illinois concealed carry class, obviously once you complete the course, you do have to go in and pay the application fee for them to process your application. Now, completing the course and actually paying for the application does not guarantee you get a concealed carry license that you get approved. So we always tell folks to check the state police website to see if you even qualify for a Illinois FOI card or concealed carry license. Next thing is for the state security officer training. For unarmed certification, you must attend an approved course. So you probably see some of the stuff always see approved. So go back into when the Illinois Concealed Carry Act was first passed. There was a lot of unlicensed instructors and then people teaching courses that wasn't certified. So pretty much they was just stealing people money. So they would set up these training courses and people would attend and they realized that the certification was not valid because the person was not approved instructor for that particular training. Same thing with the security officer. The person has to be an approved licensed instructor by the Illinois Department of Financial Professional Regulations to do the unarmed security certification as well as the armed certification. The PER card is formerly called the Blue Card. The PER card is what's required to work as a security officer in the state of Illinois. For a person to work as an armed security officer, after you complete your security certification, your employer has to apply for your fire patrol card, which used to be called a TAN card. So these are some of the things that I get from people that's trying to work in security. They don't know all of the steps and they really go on what the employer tells them. So it's important for me as a trainer to make sure that they know all these things and just, don't sit back and let the employer apply for the PER card themselves or tell them that they can't have a certain thing because they don't meet certain requirements. So some of the state compliance issues, people don't understand that these are privileged licenses. If you are not in compliance, which is a lot of stuff that's happening to the state, for example, people are going to search for the cheapest training. I totally understand if you're on a budget, but cheap is not always good because folks are just doing it for the money. Not saying that I do it for the money, I do it for the passion. I love teaching, but you must or you should, fully background and check out your instructor before you send them to any class. So some of the main issues is CCO instructor fails to provide required training. If they fail to provide required training, just let you know that that instructor will be revoked and every student that they taught will be revoked as well. So that means you will have to go back and set up new training through a new approved instructor, which you got to take time out of your day to do again. So it's very important to make sure you pick the right instructor that's following the rules so you don't have to redo your training over and get your CCO revoked. So background issues, just know that your background could be blocked by your police chief for any town. So if you're not in Chicago, it'll be the superintendent of police. If you live in a village like I do, it'll be the police chief. So know that they do get notified when you put in for a concealed carry license, and they do have objections to you getting one. People still to this day, after they complete the training, they still don't know because the instructor did not tell them that they have to renew the license every 5 years. All right. And not only do you need to renew your license every 5 years, you need to review the laws every year. Every year, new laws get implemented. Some laws get amended. So it's better for you to know what you can and cannot do because not knowing is not a justification. It's not a defense in this state and pretty much any other state. Some of the compliance issues that I get on a regular basis, questions, security companies not licensed to work, which I said before, employees working without certification or PER card. So your security contractor or employer may tell you it is okay for you to work without these credentials. So it is a timeline that you must get these credentials to be in compliance with the state. And if you don't, the employer, which is the security contractor, will be fined and they can lose their license. And if you're working without a PER card certification or TAN card and you're carrying a firearm, possibly you can be arrested for legally carrying a firearm. So if you get in any trouble or you find yourself just breaking the rules for whatever reason, just know that your certifications that you work hard to get, your licenses that you paid and work hard to get, it will be revoked. So those are some of the main things I just wanted to talk about, because those are the questions and issues that I get on a daily basis from the general public. And trying to contact the state police, um, you will not be able to get a hold of the state police. They do have a number listed, but you probably be on the phone for about an hour or two before anyone picks up. They do have an email contact that you can reach out to. You probably get a response, but they just general responses. They really don't explain or tell you the steps that you need to take. My company is listed on the state police website as assistance. So you will probably be mostly reaching out to a company that provides training or a retailer that's listed to try to help you. But we only know as much as the state police would tell us. But we kind of like your first resources when it comes to some of these questions and issues. So that's pretty much all I got with the presentation. All right. If there's any questions?
Mr. Wells, I think your mic is open. Are we all into your phone call?
Yeah, I hear somebody on the back.
We
So
all
there's
into his phone call. But do we have any questions for Mr. Jones? You know I do. I do want to ask you. So you train armed and unarmed security officers, right?
Yeah, so I'll provide those training courses for anyone that's looking to work as a security officer in the state of Illinois. They must go through the training. So yeah, I do offer that training for a person who wants to work security, whether it's unarmed or armed. Actually for Illinois and the state of Tennessee.
Okay. Now, which has the biggest demand, armed or unarmed officers?
Right now, unarmed. So the biggest demand for security is unarmed because a lot of the private security contractors, they got to have insurance. So insurance, they got to have a insurance cap to make sure that they cover for liability purposes. So a lot of them don't want to take the risk of having someone armed. Armed is a more risk that if they use the firearm, it can open up to potential lawsuit. So a lot of businesses, for them to force some type of security, they usually go with unarmed because it's a cheaper rate, and they just want to be a deterrent. But right now, the demand is unarmed security and armed off-duty police officers. So a lot of companies will hire off-duty police officers because they really work off their credentials. They don't have to be listed as an armed employee for some of the private security contractors. So they kind of working on their own. So a lot of business supplement off-duty police for armed security, which a lot is happening. A lot of off-duty police and mostly just unarmed civilians.
Okay. Now, on your concealed weapons training, you said 16 hours. Now, I took the training. I don't remember taking 16 hours. Is that in the, okay, we did the class, and then we did the shooting range. So that all counts together.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's classroom instructions that you must complete in a minimum of 1 hour of range time as to be in compliance with the 16 hours of training. That include also the laws and the legal requirements that you should be aware of.
Okay.
So it should total to a 2-day course. Only people that do not have to take the course is people that are law enforcement, people who are certified armed security. They are exempt. And folks who are active or retired military, they only need to take 8 hours of the training, which is the legal portion, the law updates, and they have to do the range qualification portion. Also, folks who took prior training like the hunter safety course, or they have an NRA certification for basic pistol certification. they can use that to supplement the 8 hours of training. But I would like to share this with everyone is that 2 days of training is not enough to prepare you for all of the risks and issues that you're dealing with out in Chicagoland alone. So me working in law enforcement, training for over 20 some years, we're constantly training. Things changes, so we have to change the way that we do things to address those changes. So I would tell people, do not shortchange it. I mean that don't try to get out of doing a 16-hour class because every bit of those 16 hours, you need that information because if you don't and you do something that was not legal for you to do, you're going to find yourself being not only arrested but civilly sued. So both of them are going to hurt, but financially, we can't afford to be paying for attorneys and paying out judgments because we rehearsing one and we weren't supposed to do so.
I really don't think that going up to that range and shooting that one day was enough for anything. Because I was scared of the gun, scared of the people in there with guns, scared of the people walking in there to buy guns. I'm like, I don't even want to be here. But anyway, I don't think shooting it because I never shot a gun before. I'm not into that. I don't think that one, I don't know what the little minutes. We all shot guns. We was all in there shooting. That was nowhere near enough time to be handling a gun. Nowhere near. That's why I've never gone and got the license. He gave me my little certificate. But I don't think at all that that's enough for me to be handling myself. I mean, and I'm not being funny. I'm really not being funny. I'm a part of me here. But I'm not being funny. I'll shoot myself before I shoot somebody else. Handling that gun is a serious thing, and that simply was not enough training for me. No. Nowhere near it. I do have another question. So do you do job placements as well?
No. So my primary focus is make sure that people meet the state requirements. They have the proper training for their certification. So I don't necessarily do job placement because it's already a lot of agencies that's constantly hiring. People can just search security jobs and they can find a job, with no issue. The main thing is that they have to have those certifications to even work. So that's my goal is to make sure that they not only have a certification, that they have the proper training to use when they actually get hired, that they don't make the mistake of losing a certification or getting in trouble. So job placement is, my opinion, that there's always people hiring for the training I provide. So it won't be something that's useful for me to be doing.
I got you. Now, for the security training, part of it to be online. Can all of it be online? What part must be in person?
So right now, the unarmed portion is allowed to be web-based or virtual. So that's the only part that's allowed for the state of Illinois and Tennessee. Mm-hmm. The armed portion, I know some people may offer the classroom online, then they would go and do the range. Illinois just required 8 hours of range time for the new armed course. But for my training, I like for people to be in person. I think you learn better in person. I'm not a big online trainer. Mm-hmm. So the armed portion for me would be in person just because you need more time, especially for new gun owners, which I get a lot, you need more time to get comfortable with a firearm, and you need to be mentally prepared to actually use a firearm. Mm-hmm. So typically for police, we usually do 48 hours training alone, and that's just with a firearm, But for this one, you're talking about a 3-day class to be proficient with it and to know when to use it and when not to use it. So yes, the unarmed portion they can do online, which I do offer the online training, which is self-paced course. They can sign up to complete unarmed, and then they will have to schedule armed training, which right now I only do training for private groups and for companies.
Okay. Do we have any more questions for him? Let me see what I got here. And you said Illinois and Minnesota. Did you say that?
Illinois and Tennessee.
Oh, well, I'm just making up something. Said Illinois and Tennessee. Let me put that. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Joyner.
Okay, let me get myself back on headset.
Okay.
Okay, with all the talk about mental health and seeing a therapist and all that sort of thing, if one does seek out help as a therapist and that sort of thing, would that preclude them from obtaining a firearm? Because isn't there a background check for mental illness and that sort of thing?
So for mental illness reporting, that is a state penalty concealed carry act. That if someone has been declared unfit to own a firearm by the courts or mental health institution, uh, as far as the state statute, that will prohibit them from getting a FOIA card. So that is usually done when somebody reports it. So if someone never went to a hospital or they never been inside of a court and be declared to have mental illness or they suffer from some type of mental health crisis or whatever, then that doesn't come up. The background check is a criminal background check. Um, so if it was reported, then that would be on the file that they are a restricted person from owning a firearm. So to answer your question, it's only if it's reported.
Oh, okay. So I guess there must be mandated reporting. So if someone checks into a mental hospital, or so it has to be that kind of extreme, not just if someone goes on BetterHelp for mental health counseling, they going through a hard time, just needed someone to talk to. That's one thing versus actually being admitted to a hospital and treated. And then maybe the practitioner even reporting, because I'm thinking about the Menendez brothers and how it was even found out that they killed their parent because the guy told his psychiatrist, and then the psychiatrist told the detectives, and that's how the Menendez brothers were found out that they killed their parents. So, yeah, I was just wondering about that with all the talk about mental health in the Black community and mental health and gun uh, um, access to guns. So I just wanted to know. Okay, so yeah, just going to BetterHelp won't preclude you from getting a firearm, but if you are hospitalized or if the practitioner reports it, then that would.
Well, Ms. Joyner, I'm sorry. That's a good question, Ms. Joyner, because you know in the Black community that many people who should be reported somewhere for mental health issues do not get reported. That's just John Boy's way, or June Boy way, or Boo Boo just act like that. And we know people have serious mental illness in our family, my family, a lot of families, and it goes unreported and untreated. And, we're moving toward greater and greater conversations about mental health, mental wellness, and so forth and so on. And that's a good thing. That's a good question. Mr. Jones, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to piggyback off the report part. Again, this applies to everyone, including law enforcement. So they're trying to change the statute when people are just trying to seek counseling from going through something like a traumatic stress event that they may experience or things like that. So the laws in Illinois is very weird when it comes to these things. But yeah, it's still up to that counselor or healthcare professional if that checkbox, if one thing gets checked, even if you go in for mental counseling, yeah, that also can be reported. So mental teachers and police officers and healthcare physicians, everybody, they're required by law to report these things. So they do have a checklist that they must go by. If that something on that checklist do get they crossed, then they must report it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Lim Wells, you have a question? Go ahead. Unmute yourself. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask a question concerning compliance legal. So, I want to know what are the registration requirements, you know, to obtain a legal compliance data for a business owner?
So you want to know as far as compliance in which profession? Concealed carry
Yeah,
or security?
security.
Can you give me an example on like as far as compliance? So for security, a lot of the information is on the state website when it comes to business owners being in compliance with state statute as far as structure. You saying as far as the employee requirements for training and certifications?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of that is public information. When a private security contractor get licensed, they must make sure that they are aware of the requirements that they need to be in business to offer services. For example, they are required by statute to refresh the training, and you have to report that to IDFPR. But a lot of the information is really on IDFPR website for you to know what you should be doing and what you can't do. So the Illinois General Assembly.gov, I always recommend everyone goes to that for every profession. If you're talking about Illinois, to make sure that you're aware of Illinois business laws, Illinois civil procedures and liability. So Illinois General Assembly.gov is also a great resource for people to go to make sure that you are in compliance, and that applies to all professions. I can't hear you, Sonja. Are you talking?
I sure was, Mr. Jones. Thank you so much. We're gonna go. Just hold up, you go on. We're gonna welcome our next guest, Xavier. Xavier Paul Perdue. Come online now. It's your time. Now we're ready. Now we're ready. He's sitting back. Time? Yes, it is. It's time now. He's sitting back in the cup over there.
Well, that would be one name for it. I appreciate the previous presentation.
I'm gonna give you the floor,
I realize
Xavier.
so many people. That's wonderful, and I appreciate having it. Indeed, it's thank you, Sonja. Thank you, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to share with you guys tonight, to get to know a little bit about me and the community. Sonja and I have been knowing each other for a number of years, and we're finally working together. So I'm really pleased to be here and really quite excited. And I want to thank all the speakers, particularly the last speaker. I didn't realize so many people had handguns these days, and that's definitely going to cut down on my trolling activity. It's, hey, you look like Beyonce. Ow! God. I guess perhaps I should have. Yeah, and so absolutely. And what my hope tonight is to share with you a little bit about the exciting world of voiceovers for commercials and animation and all sorts of things. And ideally, you'll have so much money as a result that you'll need a handgun to keep people from robbing you. I can definitely attest to the success in voiceover. And when we talk about voice work, we're talking about acting with the voice acting. We hear it all the time: voicemails, movie trailers, cartoons, all sorts of commercials. You've heard my voice. I've been doing this since I was a little itty bitty boy. So, yes, I'm definitely a lively soul, indeed, and unmedicated. So that's always a plus as well. Yeah, and of course, this is my home studio, and what you're seeing here is it's not a sex toy. It's actually a microphone, and it's part of the home studio I have here. It's a padded room, which really is a pleasure. It's like having my own personal mental institution at home. It's just here. Whenever you feel a little cuckoo, it's like, yeah, come on in and close the door behind me and make a little money with my crazy. That's always fun. Unlike having a concealed weapon, in show business, mental illness is encouraged, if not, in some cases, a stark requirement. So you'll be happy to know that. If you're a little nutty, we're all here just because you're not all there, so we can all be not here together. And it's just a pleasurable thing, So enough with the jokes. Now to the drama. Okay. Let's see. Well, a little bit about me. Yeah, an actor, definitely a comedian. Only when the jokes are funny. When the jokes aren't funny, then it's the dramatic acting. Certainly for the audience, because it's dramatic for them. What is this guy doing? And who are his writers? They need to be fired. Let's see. I've been doing this since a young age. I remember my very, very first acting audition. It actually was for the Cosby Show. What an interesting audition that was. The casting director looked at me and said, "It just won't do. I'm sorry. You're not black enough for the Cosby Show." To which I replied,
Oh.
That was actually close to my first response. And but I don't think I've ever made a trip from inside of an office to the elevator faster than that moment. I mean, it was amazing. You'd think I was a stuntman. I mean, I was in that elevator faster than faster than George Jefferson in the opening credits of the Jeffersons. But it was exciting for me to learn a little bit about what are my strengths as an actor, and one of those strengths happened to be a voice. And I've been doing all sorts of voice work that you've heard, all sorts of different things. I'll play some demos for you in a moment. And I can share with you that the training, in addition to the work that I do now, has to do with helping people develop their best speaking. Has to help people learn how to be comfortable with their speaking voice. I help people eliminate various regional accents, helping them with their articulation and enunciation. All those things that I think help make a better business person, more compelling and more interesting vocal presentation. Voice is so much a part of what we do and how we do it in today's world. Even if it's social media, people are taking us in visually. It's really that voice that puts it all together. So I help people in that journey, and my special area is voiceover. Yet I've also worked in the public speaking space, motivational space. We're talking about all different things from audio books. Oh, okay, Michelle has to run. Pleasure to meet you, Michelle. Hopefully you'll be in touch. I'll also put my social media in the chat as well. I think that would be a good idea for people to be able to reach out to me on Instagram. Let me play for you a little bit of some of the voice work that I've done. Some quick demos here. They go for about 30 seconds or so. It'll give you an idea of commercial voiceover.
Try Hooters new stuffed wings.
Stuff?
Now just double checking. You can hear that. Yes, Sonja? Wonderful. Okay, here we go. From the top. Thanks.
Try Hooters new stuffed wings.
Stuffed? Wow.
They're real wings. And they're really stuffed.
How do you do that? That's a thing?
All world famous wings. Hand stuffed every day with your choice of Cajun jambalaya or zesty chorizo.
Stuffed with jambalaya. Stuffed.
Hooters new stuffed wings. One bite and you're a believer.
Yes.
Hooters. Nothing smells of down body thirst better than Gatorade. You've always stood stretched out into the harbor like a welcome sign.
Okay, so that's a little bit of the commercial demo. TV commercials, radio commercials. I think a lot of businesses need to give their business a voice, so I help them with that. You could be a small business, medium or large. You may have never gotten involved in the commercial or radio commercial space before, yet that could be something I can speak with you about to help you start with some of your very first commercials for TV, radio, or even online, social media, or new media. a personality, a spokesperson, or a voice. It could be mine. It could be a female voice. I know a lot of great female voice talent as well. Or it could even be your voice that's trained to present your own business, product, or service. So that's an idea. The next would be narration. All sorts of trainings, e-learning trainings, educational trainings. That's coming up right here. Monday.
October 9th, 2000.
Actually, that's a little different here. Actually, no, here is the, yeah, and it's in the medical area. I do medical narration as well, just pronouncing all the different complicated terms for training doctors and nurses and things.
Hemlibra is indicated for routine prophylaxis to prevent or reduce the frequency of bleeding episodes in adult and pediatric patients, ages 4 and older, with hemophilia A, with or without factor VIII inhibitors. Important safety information. Ciprofloxacin hydrochloride and hydrocortisone otic suspension contains the synthetic broad-spectrum antibacterial agent ciprofloxacin hydrochloride.
So that's a mouthful, right? Yeah. So medical is a huge field, educationally, from the collegiate level to the professional level, and these trainings go on for hundreds of hours, the updates to that training as well. So as a narrator, a voice comes in and pronounces all of those complicated words and terminologies, has an understanding of what doctors need or to learn, or medical professional or surgical personnel need to learn, and takes them through the various modules and training so that it's clear, concise. It's really all about that clear speaking voice and an understanding of what you're saying so that that message goes into your listener on a deep level. So that's one possible area for you to explore, right? Now, also, let me get into audiobooks, because that's something that people are really asking a lot of questions about. People are very familiar about audiobooks. I'll play a little bit about that, about 30 seconds of that.
The alarms brought him back to consciousness. They sliced through the blackness, the sirens wailing and howling like banshees in torment, forcing themselves into his brain, taking hold of the power and shunting it back on. He opened his eyes and winced instantly from pain. He had an intense headache that thumped in time with the sirens. The right side of his face was hot and wet, blood stinging his right eye. He stood at the kitchen window, waiting. He had memorized everything around him. The pine walls, the bare of wallpaper, or even paint. The wardrobe where his widowed mother kept her churn for making buttermilk. The stove fueled by the firewood he cut each morning. The two coolers, one for dairy and the other for cakes and pies.
So that's an example of fiction genre audiobooks. There's fiction, there's nonfiction, there's educational, many different genres even within the audiobook genre. I've also done nonfiction, medical textbooks. I do a lot of medical, seems to be, I'm from a family of healthcare workers. That's maybe why I spent my childhood just reading medical textbooks. Yet, if you have a proficiency in any particular area, that could also help you in perhaps starting a budding, part-time, hopefully moving to full-time voiceover career. It's all about having narrators, people with clear speaking voices. They could be male, female, any gender, age range or so, that, or ethnic background, that have an understanding of a particular subject matter and can deliver that subject matter in a clear, concise, and compelling way. And also, if you do various accents or dialects, Southern, Caribbean, Jamaican, or if you're from any of these particular territories, or are bilingual, this will help you as well, because what we're talking about here is the media industry, and we're talking about communication, really where the rubber meets the road, the voice, and a voice that's hired professionally that goes into a studio like this one you see me here in, and gets a script and delivers it in a compelling, appropriate manner. Now, it does take training, intense training. That's the training that I provide, and would love to answer any questions you may have regarding my training. You could best describe me as a full-time performer in the field who teaches and trains. So most of my time is spent here in the studio or other recording studios working and recording or editing and producing. And then with what little time is left over, I am going into class, going into master class mode and training people on the particulars of building their voice, really two parts of it, instrumentally, the very instrument that they have, and then the very craft, how to break down scripts, how to understand the business. Well, actually three. Then there's the marketing, actually presenting yourself with a comprehensive package to the industry and building that, which does take time, building those relationships and learning about the industry, learning about where you fit, and maneuvering, positioning, strategizing, how you're going to do that. How are you going to meet the necessary people that can utilize your force? Because at the end of the day, it is a business. So it's very important to understand and be aware of. I think the last demo I'll play for you guys before I open it up for questions, and I do appreciate your time again, would be my in-show narration and a quick plug for the show that I have right now that I'm narrating on History Channel. If you're into gritty docudramas on History Channel, then you might want to dial up a show that I narrate called Prison Chronicles. It's produced by none other than the great actor Morgan Freeman. And what we do in Prison Chronicles is actually chronicle various prisons throughout history that had very famous or infamous inmates. We go into the various history of how the prisons were built, and it's a pretty interesting story if you're a fan, I would say, of gritty HBO drama, things like Oz or The Night Of, or if crime drama is your thing, then Prison Chronicles will absolutely be a fit for you. And I had a pleasure of narrating it and working on it. It gave me a chance to really sink my teeth into some compelling work as an actor. And I'm confident that it'll be an entertaining evening for you. And I look forward to hearing your questions, meeting you, and hearing about what's on your mind. Back to you, Sonja.
I thought you was gonna play a clip for us. Oh,
that's right. That's absolutely right. I just tell you that early onset. Hang on. Here we go.
it's breaking up. We can't hear it. Something's going on.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe Zoom is a culprit.
Maybe it's slowing down. Yeah, something's going on.
A little bit better now. Can you hear me? How's my reception now? Oh, okay. Let's give it one more try. Okay. All right. Let's give it one more try. I'll move the phone a little closer to the speaker. The first clip that you hear is a clip from a nature show called Dead by Dawn on National Geographic. And then it'll move into some other things. So here we go.
In the land of jungles, imagination.
It's not translating well. Something's going on.
Is it still breaking up?
Yes,
Right,
it is.
so what I'll do is I'll put links to it in the chat so people can listen to it at their leisure. I guess the Zoom is just not my friend tonight.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Let's see. I do have one question, and you didn't mention the Transformers at all. How did you get
You're
that
so right
gig?
about that, Sonja. Gosh, I've got so many hits, it's hard to remember them all. Absolutely. Transformers. How could I forget? Indeed. Yes, indeed. See, now the things, they've got all these devices that are louder than I am. Calm down. Transformers, more than meets the eye. The character of Dead End, the Decepticon. Roll out. And I can tell you that Transformers, an exciting career highlight. Let's see, I taped Transformers, which is available now on Netflix. The show is Transformers Cyberverse, and it's a fun animated show. And what more can I say? It's Transformers. If you want that motivation that comes from robots that turn into all kinds of things, then you can tap right in. And I would say that Transformers is an example of voice acting, animation, really, yeah, it's classic. I mean, that's sort of like on the Disney level of things that really motivate people to change their lives. When I run into families at the various Transformers events that I go to and make public appearances at, I run into people that are just so motivated. One gentleman he brought his whole family, and he said, you know what? I knew I wanted to be an engineer when I watched Transformers as a kid. And then his son actually had a clay sculpture, perfectly formed clay sculpture of my character that he created from scratch. I was like, this is amazing. There's so many amazing stories. And what I try to do is motivate, particularly those from my own community, motivate these young people to read, to learn more about what it is to be a voice actor, which first involves reading. So I want to use my presence in the industry and the roles that I do to motivate young people to become literate, become strong in language, become strong in speech, because these are the things that are going to take them into the future powerfully, learning to be literate, learning to read, learning to communicate. So that's my contribution.
Absolutely, absolutely. Excuse me. George David, you had a question?
Hey, George.
George wants me to read it. How can one balance acting and business at the same time?
It's a tough balance, yet it has to be done because we're doing this in an industry that uses our talents as the commodity, right? And then there are many businesses. That's why Patrick's presentation tonight was also quite valuable, because in the show business, there's a need for tactical and security support. So it's industry called show business and media includes a wide variety of other industries that support it, are supported by it, and all these various industries work together, right? All these various industries work together. Celebrities, semi-celebrities, or actors that just don't want to be messed with when they're on their way to the store, need security sometimes. And unfortunately, some celebrities are just a little too humble and think that they don't need any kind of security support. They just want to just go any old where and do any old thing, and then they're disappointed when they realize that they're wrong about that. So anytime you see a performer, whether it's a voiceover artist, actor on a TV show, or reporting artist, you have to know that there's almost a city, a team behind them, supporting them and giving them the various components that they need in order to move forward and pursue their career. It's not just me, even though I do work directly with a lot of my major clients and TV networks. My initial outreach had been done and has been and will be done by me. There are agents, there are managers, there are accountants, CPA people, image people, publicists, all these different people. I don't use all of them simultaneously, yet it's a team effort. So I think balancing it has to do with realizing that it's a team effort, realizing that you're not doing all of this by yourself, and understand how to delegate tasks, and so that you're not overwhelmed. And start organically. I think if people want to start in the world of media, instead of jumping the gun like we're taught to do or pressured or encouraged to do by social media, which is a add water and stir, immediate gratification world that we're kind of living in, I think it's important for people to step back and get training, get the proper, thorough training with whatever they want to do. Start a career in show business, own a firearm. I mean, what's the rush? Everybody's jumping the gun. I mean, no pun intended. I'd much rather jump over it than have it, be in any other position. I mean, my gosh. I mean, I can imagine what it's like for you, Patrick. You've got people that are like, hey, is this the trigger? Thanks, bye. I mean, it's just like, cool it, will you? Funny story. I was watching one of these TV programs. They were like, "Oh, let's hear from gun owners," and every single one of them had this look at their eye, like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Wow, these are the gun owners." They all seem to have this. Yeah, I own a gun. Yeah. Want to take it? Like, yeah, only in America. Yes, indeed. And that's another reason I love the home studio, because it's indoors, and the front door is locked tight. So, when the revolution comes, I'll be here advertising for Nestle's chocolate chip cookies. A little digression there, sorry. Back to you, Sonja. Our comedy writers are out sick. This is the best I can do, okay? Anyway.
This is being recorded, and I hope it doesn't mess up or anything, because that's just going to be one hell of a clip right there. Oh, my goodness, I love it. I love it. I love it. All my guests have been just fantastic. People don't know what they missed. I had 34 people register tonight. I don't know. They went to sleep. They did what they wanted to do. They passed by. They jumped in and jumped out. Who knows? I had a great time, okay? Myself. But got some great clips. Laci Williams, presentation was great. You came a little late on that one, Xavier. Patrick's presentation was great. Even if they're not here, I am gonna. Please, I'm crossing my fingers. Please record right. I see the red light, but sometimes things get crazy. Please let me get my clips, okay? Because they're informative. They are very informative, and fortunately for us, we've created them here tonight, and we've created them here, and that's what's important to me. And we can share. They can still get the information. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna be sure thousands of people get the information because we share some important things here tonight. Okay. Now I'm still gonna ask you this, Xavier. How did you get that job with the Transformers?
Well, it's so funny. It's very anticlimactic, honestly. It was just yet another audition. You know, as voice actors, we do audition for many jobs, and many more we don't audition for. Though, like for instance, I did a job recording session today. I initially worked with these people 2 years ago, and they were like, "He's great. We're doing this brand new thing, and let's bring him back in. No need for an audition." Yet many times you do audition, and the ad agencies do it that way, even with talent that they have worked with a gazillion times before, because they want to keep every project objective. They want to hear how the talent creatively brings their tools to the table for this particular script, so that things can move along very organically. It's like making it from scratch every time. And I look at it that way because I see the audition process as part of the creative process. If I audition for something, I'm going to make a certain set of choices, whereas then when I actually do the actual session, I know I've got something that I've begun to work from. So that's how I handle auditions. Yeah, so Transformers came in. It was a stack of scripts, a stack of auditions on a particular day, and it was just one of many that I did. Didn't really give it another thought, really, until even when they emailed and said, "Now you're doing the Transformers," I was like, "Okay, fine, whatever." It didn't really hit me about the big deal about Transformers until I went to the first Transformers convention and saw people in these outfits. They go into full regalia. I mean, they really go for it. I'm like, they're like taking time out of their day to dress up like Optimus Prime, and I'm like, wow, this is exciting stuff. Definitely. I mean, these guys are taking it seriously, and as do I, because it didn't really hit me just how special these characters are, these animated characters, the Bart Simpsons, the Mickey Mouses. So we grow up as kids watching this stuff, but adults, we all have that imaginative part of us that doesn't really let go of those memories. And I think that's a phenomenal thing. It's a great thing for us, for actors, for us to appreciate that, and helps us do better work. So I'm thrilled, honored, and will continue doing what I do best.
Wonderful. I'm gonna ask you this because I don't know it. No, I'm calling that a cartoon, but you call it anim. What do you call those things now? The Transformers.
Well, yeah, it's several things. It's a lot of different things. It's live action, the movies we see, and special effects. Then there's the animated television series that I did, which is full, total animation, no live action, no live people at all. All right. And then there's anime, Japanese anime that we see, all the different, Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff. So that comes out of Japan and China and such. And then we have video games, Grand Theft Auto, all the Call of Duty, all that Fortnite stuff. Absolutely, all that. And there's some animation in that. Yeah, that's more what they call video game. It's not really animation, it's more the video game genre and developed animated characters that are developed specifically for video games. And there's a term that they use that doesn't come to mind right now, but that would be the genre. And then there are all these various subdivisions depending on the technology that's being used, right? Yeah, so it gets a little confusing, but I guess you figure franchises like Disney and Transformers have a lot of different properties. The cartoons, the animated characters, the toys, the merchandising. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I saw they into your little toy too. I'm like, I don't know anything about this. but I saw them on your video, with your 3-minute video clip. They were into your choice. Xavier, was there a time where you had to choose your personal life over your career? I don't know who is that.
Well, that's an interesting question. Hang on, are you sure People Magazine isn't spying on you here? This feels very National Enquirer. I tell you, personal life over career. I tell you, well, it's a choice every day, and the way I've been striking out is really not much of a choice. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's like, hey, get out of here and back to the microphone. You know, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm a good date, but I don't know. I'm so stuck in commercial mode that even on a date, it's you know, the girl feels like I'm doing a promo for HBO or something. You know, are you taking me home? Coming soon. Coming soon. Hopefully you'll be coming soon. You know, it's just, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, it's, of course, if it's a blind date, then I'll show up and I'm like, wow. I turned into SpongeBob.
You having too much fun.
You can't see.
In that little room.
I'm glad the show business worked out for me because my ears stick out already. And it's like, you know, growing up, you know, they're like, you know, and I wouldn't get a date. Girls are like, sorry, I don't date cartoon characters. So you're either going to have to make it in Hollywood or be celibate for the rest of your life. And I said, okay, let's get these monologues going, shall we? So it wasn't good to get an operation, you know, you kind of, you know, you those little hip-hop hats, like, you know, you try to be cool, like, I know Kanye West, it's just like, come on, it's never gonna work. So, you know, you just do your best you can with what you've got. And it doesn't, I'm also short. I'm short and Asian. So it's like, please, I had to make it a show. So I told him, listen, nowhere else will happen.
Xavier, I want to thank you so much for being with us. You know you're breaking up again, too. Move your little microphone around. I don't know, I guess you're slowing down or something. You're disappearing. Yeah, I guess maybe you're tired. I don't know. Somebody shows up at 8 o'clock. Gross, Miss Gross, you missed the whole thing. It was great. It was great. But we're glad that you stopped by. We're about to check out. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to those that popped in and popped out. Thanks to those who stayed with us to the end. We know we have some gifts for you, and we'll do this again real soon. I'm Sonja Cassandra Perdue for shoppingblackchicago.com and Chicago's Black Business Network. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be a great take. Oh, Miss Gross, you're just popping in. We just said our goodbyes. It was a great connection. She's still connected. Thank you, Miss Gross.
We should say hi to her.
Yeah, I'm Miss Gross. Bonnie. Hello? Bonnie. Nothing happened with her. But she's here. Bonnie. We're talking to you. And she's paying no attention to
I think she's still figuring out her configuration. That's her audio video isn't coming.
Yeah, and it must be spinning slow because it took her so long. It was spinning. Her trying to come in, it was spinning. Miss Bonnie, and her microphone is not on. Well, I don't know what to do for her. I'll wait one more minute. Well, it's 7:57, so she thought she'd run in here, you know, before 8 o'clock, and people see what was going on. She probably does that a lot. Now she's listening to us talk about her. Bonnie. Well,
Will you be doing this again, and you'll be putting clips of this presentation tonight on your social media?
yes, I can clip it. You know, Opus Plus, you put this up there, and it just break all these little clips up. You have like 35 little clips in like 2 hours. Opus Plus.
That's
So
delightful.
it is delightful. So I'm gonna have all these little clips for you, and you just have a ball, okay?
Oh my goodness.
I ain't gonna say what day I'm gonna do this.
Can't
It'll
wait.
be between now and Tuesday or Wednesday. But yeah, you throw it in there, boom, 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 boom. All these little clips with little translations, on them and everything. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna have a ball with those. You have a ball with those. Yeah. Okay. So they can see you. So when we do it again one time, they will say, I want to know. Oh, I want to. Okay. Miss Gross, Miss Bonnie, we're gonna say good night to you. Well, we got you here. Your participation does count. Good night, Patrick. Good night, Lucy. Good night, George. Thank you for hanging with us. Good night, Xavier X-Men. See you later.
Oh, well, all right now. Night now. And we'll follow up. I'd like to follow up with you in a day or two, Sonja, on because I like that you mentioned your plans about helping me with the Zoom, but we'll do that early next week. Thank you again.